Hi, baby boomer fans. We are Jackie and Janine, the Pfeiffer Sisters, and love to talk about the 1950s, inviting you to reminisce with us as we explore experiences of that decade.
We chronicled the distinct memories of our childhood in our book, While the Windmill Watched, a slice of rural America in the 1950s, which takes you on a notably historic journey through that often forgotten decade. We also want to hear about your experiences during the 1950s. We will feature guests whose special stories of that decade will bring to mind magical moments of reflection, some with tears, some with smiles, but above all, a good dose of laughter.
We would like you to chat with us as we bring to mind the sights and sounds so familiar to that time in history. Grab your favorite malt or Green River. Make sure you are wide awake and get ready to be inspired about the 1950s. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat. This is episode, is it number 22, Jackie? Yes, that we have recorded. Let me take a peek at my notes. It is number 22, having started last September. And we are so grateful for all of the guests who have joined us each week on our Fun Chat. And we're very thankful for you, our viewers and subscribers to our channel. And speaking of subscribing, take a look in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and you'll see a red button that says subscribe. Boy, we sure hope you click on that because we want you to be a part of all of our Fun Chats, those in the past as well as those upcoming in the future. And you'll just get a little notice that way when we have a new Fun Chat that will be go live then and streamed on our YouTube channel, the 1950s Fun Chat. Jackie, what can you add to that?
Well, I can add for guests to look at the bottom of their screen and notice that there's a little banner that goes www.wildthewindmillwatch.com. That is the website that will tell you all and more than you want to know about our book. And speaking of the book, look in that upper right-hand corner. You'll see a beautiful North Dakota sunset, and it wraps around the cover of the book. This book includes so many memories that Janine and I have of living in the northern Great Plains in the 1950s. Now, we are excited to offer you today a guest, Shirley Acker. Shirley Acker.
That's right.
Born and raised in a farm near Atlantic, Iowa, Shirley, who recently turned 90, has experienced an unexpected life of hosting, traveling, painting, and politics. Shirley and her husband, Dwayne, have two daughters. Now, Shirley will highlight three major segments of her adult life: university communities, hosting students, faculty, and university friends, 6 years in the White House volunteering, largely using her calligraphy skills, and the return to the Author's farm, where she developed her skill in porcelain painting. So, Shirley, these other experiences, we're so glad to know that you have a memoir called 10 Minutes to Rake the Carpet. Well, this is very intriguing. First of all, tell us about that. 10 minutes to rake the carpet.
Well, that carpet particularly was not ordered, but it's what we ended up with. And that was a shag carpet that I didn't plan to have. So it does mean every time somebody walked on it, the footprints would be laid down.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean that I would have to rake the carpet between guests coming to and from the area.
Okay. And where were you? Where was this carpet located? In what town?
That was in Manhattan, Kansas.
Okay.
At the president's home.
Okay.
And Shirley, what were your responsibilities as the wife of the president of Kansas State University?
Well, we invited a lot of the guests that were there, the faculty members and spouses and so forth. So we entertained quite a lot. We had people in and out quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And I did have a couple of helpers sometimes. And Moki, I called, was one of them. And he kept me entertained.
Okay.
And did you have to create all the food for these guests too?
And yes, we did with help of others. I would order some.
Okay. Well, I know you're a tremendous cook and baker, so I didn't know if you had that responsibility in the entertaining department or not.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I did lots of cooking and baking and so forth, but
Oh my.
that I also did have some help.
So can you remember one or two of the most noteworthy guests that you had that we might be familiar with?
Shirley Temple Black.
No kidding.
Oh,
Yeah. And
okay.
of course, my name being Shirley, well, I thought that was really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And we had a nice visit walking across campus,
Mhm.
the two
And
Shirleys. And
how did she happen to be on campus?
well, she came for an lecture of what she did.
Okay.
Oh,
And had you been a fan of hers when she starred in the movies?
Oh, I'm sure I was. Yes.
Uh-huh.
I watched lots of her movies and The Child and so forth. So she was just a lovely lady.
Good.
Good.
Is there anyone else who comes to mind?
Red Skelton was there.
Oh, okay.
That was lots of fun.
Entertaining you?
Entertaining.
Huh?
Was he there for a lecture as well?
Yes, he was there for a lecture and just to be on the campus.
Okay. All righty. And
That's-
did you do some world traveling too, you and Dwayne, when in this responsibility?
We did lots of world traveling. Africa, I suppose, would be probably the highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Super.
And
Experience.
why were you in Africa?
Well, just to see the community and the settings and so forth, and the people and AID. It was what Dwayne worked for, Agriculture International Development.
Okay, that's right. So you were telling us about Kansas State, but can you tell us about the Quonsets that you lived in at first? When Janine and I were at NDSU, they too had Quonsets that were still in use. So give us, the viewers, a little background about the original intent of these buildings and why they even existed on university campuses.
Well, it was a place to live.
Okay, but before
it was a veterans village.
And
yes, it was a Quonset. It was rounded top,
Were they warm in the wintertime?
Oh, as warm as it could be in the wintertime in Iowa.
And this was at Iowa State University then?
Yes, right.
Okay. And when Dwayne was a student at Iowa State?
Yes, right. He was a student there and I worked on the campus.
Okay. Wonderful. And can you remember how many rooms were in that Quonset that Quonset home?
Well, let's see. I'm about 3.
Okay.
You came into the living area and
yes, in the front, then the front door, and the living area, and then the bedroom area and the bathroom.
Oh,
and kitchen. I do remember when at North Dakota State University, I had some friends living in married student housing, and I remember having visited them in a Quonset hut at NDSU. So and I always thought that was such a cozy little environment.
It was 200 square foot.
Oh,
so that's you can call it cozy, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that's just right for 2 young marrieds.
It was, it had the rounded roof, and we were right on the edge of a golf course. So every Sunday morning, and it was the balls would hit the roof and it'd go down the side.
Interesting memory.
That's kind of a wake up thing, huh?
Yeah. Right. So if that gives you an idea.
Shirley, you talked about when you came back to Iowa and you really got involved with painting, porcelain painting. Please
Yes.
share with us about that, how you learned it, what types of porcelain did you paint, and what types of porcelain did you paint?
Well, usually plates. And how did I get started doing it? I guess because a friend liked to do it, and she invited me to do it with her, and we enjoyed it very much. I did lots of porcelain painting. I think Dwayne's going to get you a couple of plates I painted,
Okay.
and I'll show them to you.
And are these utilitarian, Shirley? Are these plates
Yeah.
utilitarian? Do you use?
Like you
Oh, beautiful.
can kind of see that.
Beautiful.
This one happened to be an Easter bunny.
Yes.
And is there another? Can you see it good?
Oh,
Dwayne's holding it up. And here's another one that I will show you.
Especially happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
oh, Jesus. Yes. There we go.
Cool. Christmas.
So did Shirley, did you
Christmas.
paint, was the paint the plate a basic white color, and then you needed to paint everything else?
Right.
Okay. And have you ever sold any of your painted porcelain?
No, I don't think so. I didn't sell it. I gave it away.
Well, that's nice. Well, with your artistic talents, and you did calligraphy work when Dwayne
Yes.
and you were living in Washington, D.C.
Correct.
And can you tell us how your calligraphy work was used and who called upon you to do that?
Well, I worked for the White House, and it was there right in the grounds,
Okay.
and I just did it.
Okay,
So
and were you asked to create certain sayings, or did you use your calligraphy skills with White House menus or White House invitations? Do you
I
recall?
did some of the invitations, but I think mostly it was with people that had written, and we would send a note back to
Okay.
them.
50th anniversaries and
Yeah, 50th anniversaries and this sort of
okay.
thing. Just any kind of anniversary or birthday, or I guess that's about all I can.
addressing envelopes.
But I addressed thousands of envelopes.
So where did you learn this calligraphy skill? A
Smithsonian.
class?
Yeah, it's a class at the Smithsonian.
Oh, you started it there, yeah.
Yes. And have you used your skills since then?
Oh, I still write.
But so beautifully with calligraphy?
No, not generally speaking.
Is there one piece of writing calligraphy that you did that really still is imprinted in your mind that you were the most happy with?
I did copperplate calligraphy.
Oh,
That
My goodness. And what is that? Was that for personal use or for?
just for regular writing.
Okay. All right. Well, how is there a certain medium that you enjoy writing on the best?
I can't think of anything I can write on.
And I'm curious to know too, Shirley, as a child, did you display these artistic talents too in your country school?
Oh, no. I don't think they ever thought about it.
Right. But evidently always enjoyed writing and had an appreciation for writing and the
Oh, I
written.
think so. And then when we went to Washington, D.C., and I worked for the White House, that, of course, just fulfilled my needs of writing, and that's just what I enjoyed doing.
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
I'd like to go back before the 50s and tell us, I ask you to tell us about duck soup, please.
Duck soup. Well, that happened to be a group of. This was when I was still at home with my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and this was a neighborhood gathering every Friday night, and they called it duck soup. I think it started because I think one of the fellows on the in the group of 5 or so had gotten some ducks in their migration and shot them down, and so they made soup. Cooked them and made soup, and so that was called. They just called it duck soup, and there were about 5 families that gathered together on Friday nights and just had a good time. And the children that were there, I would guess there were about 5 of us kids, and we just had a good time. And they always enjoyed coming to our home because we had a nice concrete floor in our basement. The basement flooring was all concrete. And I didn't think until years later. And one of my friends said, "Oh," she said, "we just love to come to your house because we could roller skate in the basement."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So-
I mean, I just took it for granted, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
But it was a nice, and the men played cards and the women just visited and the kids played.
I see. Did
Now-
each family bring something for the duck soup, like the stone soup? Everybody. Like,
Oh, I think
brought
they
together?
went to each other's homes. And
Oh,
so
okay.
when you had them at your home, you did you
did a
fixed
doll.
whatever they needed, and that
Okay.
eliminated having to carry stuff around.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you still special friends with those children with whom you roller skated back then?
I was, but you know what? Time has passed a long way, and most of them have passed away.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
What other kinds of activities, Shirley, did you do with your friends? What kind of games did you play?
Oh, I don't know, but we did a lot of rope, jumping rope and that sort of thing. I don't know what else. I can't even think right now. I hadn't thought about that question.
Did you play tag?
Did mostly roller skating. Yeah, we probably played tag and probably a little hide and seek sort of stuff.
Or jacks? Do you play jacks or kurokano?
Yeah, it could have been some jacks too. I don't recall that as much, but I remember the roller skating particularly because it was in our home in the basement.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
and
Well,
oh yeah, we did play at school. We threw a ball over the old country schoolhouse.
Okay.
You know, and you catch it on the other side. You throw it over the top of the roof and over. They catch it on the other side and so forth. Played softball.
Is that called Annie I over?
That ball got stuck.
And it didn't get stuck in the chimney of the.
oh, really?
And I remember one time it got stuck, and I was the only one that was small enough to. They boosted me up onto the roof, and I got the ball out from behind the chimney and threw it back down, and everything was safe. I didn't fall at least.
Was this a one room schoolhouse?
Oh yes, one of those old country schools.
Mm-hmm.
One room. Well, they had you walked in the ground floor, of course. That was all the floors it had anyway. And you came in the door and you'd hang your coats in that first entrance way. And then you would walk into the school, into the building itself where the desks were.
Okay.
And I can remember the superintendent of schools came out one day. I'll never forget this because we watched for her to come, and it was a woman, and she drove her car up and came in, and that was an interesting situation.
Oh, because this person in authority came to visit your little country school?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And see, because we were out in the land of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay, that would make an impression. So during the 50s, there were a lot of mechanization advances, medical advances, and probably the one thing that stands out in the 50s is the polio scare and the then the Salk vaccine. And what can you tell us about that personally for you?
Well, personally, we had shots
Mm-hmm.
so that we weren't supposed to get it, and we didn't get it. So we were, I can't remember any problems. Dwayne doesn't seem to think that he knows of any problems.
Or of anyone who had polio?
Or anyone that had polio.
We were worried.
We worried about it, of course.
Mm.
But I don't know, is anybody personally close by?
Hells.
Well, Stan Hells
Yeah, Stan Hells.
in Ames. Stan Hells evidently had it. I don't remember a lot about it. They all survived.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Was there a county nurse who came to your school to give polio vaccinations, or did you?
no,
Else?
no.
How did you receive those vaccinations?
I think we went to the doctor's office.
Okay. And did your
The
parents?
doctor and Mrs. Her name was Agnes Wilder.
Okay. And was this in Atlantic?
Yes, in Atlantic.
Atlantic,
She was a
Iowa.
living doctor.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. And were your parents required, or did they get polio vaccinations also?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
Or-
don't recall that we did have it.
Or when the
problem.
I can recall in the 50s when the vaccine was liquid, this pink liquid, and they put it in sugar cubes. Do you remember that? And then you put that sugar cube in your mouth and it dissolved.
I'm sure that's right.
Okay.
Yes, and it tasted
Yeah.
so bitter. Ugh.
Right. I'd kind of forgotten about that, but I guess that's right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the smallpox vaccination, do you have that little mark on your arm?
Oh, yes, I have that too, but I didn't have any smallpox.
No.
Thank goodness.
Nor did we.
Yes.
So,
Vaccinations were very important, weren't they? And still are.
Oh, my.
Mhm.
Especially when you lived in the country, as we did, not close to a hospital or a doctor real closely by.
mhm.
No problem. We were fortunate. And I walked to school on a dirt road. Oh, I must tell you about this.
Okay.
Speak
We wanna
on.
hear
Because it was a country school. And if you remember the little old country schools, and after my sister graduated, went into high school in Atlantic, I had to walk alone. And 2 miles on a dirt road, not another house on the road. I
Ooh.
crossed 3 bridges. One was a busy, deep river, and then on to the school. And I did that by myself. And sometimes a neighbor boy would walk with me when his mother would make him. But otherwise, you could walk through a field and get there a lot easier and quicker.
Mhm. Did you
Ah,
in the winter time then did you dress? How did you dress for that walk to school?
Oh, I think I had a snowsuit, what you called snowsuits. I don't know,
mhm.
2-piece outfits.
Okay, and that kept you warm, huh?
That would keep us warm with boots.
Yeah.
Of
Sure.
course, we had to wear boots
Sure.
and walk, but the fact that there wasn't another house on the road,
Yeah.
you didn't want to fall. And whenever I'd see a car coming along, well, I get down in the ditch and I get on the opposite side of the driver so that he or she couldn't see me. And I never had any problem.
Oh,
Good.
wow.
Good. Do you remember how long it took you to walk to school?
Oh, I don't know how long it took. Probably a good hour and a half.
Mm. So you were outside, you were out in the elements, especially wintertime, a long time.
That's for sure. But we wore snowsuits and boots and that sort of thing, mittens and caps, and
Mhm.
dressed warmly, and never had any frostbite or anything of that nature. So lucked out on
Shirley,
that.
Shirley, tell us the advantages and the disadvantages of living in DC.
Oh, the advantages was great. I
Because-
worked at the White House,
Uh-huh.
and I do calligraphy, so I did a lot of addressed envelopes and
Okay.
for their
So
mail.
what about, because beyond living at the White or working at the White House, what about the city itself? Can you say anything?
Oh, it
about
was fine. I remember one time I decided, after I was at work that morning or so, I decided I'll just take a bus and I'll go out into the city park and look around, which I did all by myself. And then I found my way back. So no problem.
That's
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
And
Were you
and
living in an apartment or what? Where? Did you buy a house, or was there a special building? Was special
We had
accommodations?
we had a house and we rented it.
Okay.
The orange line.
Yeah, west off the Orange Line, if you know DC.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I've only been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Mhm. Shirley, I want to go back to the 50s again, and perhaps even the early 50s, and talk about communication. Wondering if your farm home had a television or if it had a telephone.
Yes, it had both, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, we were fortunate. So it had a telephone that you would ring, turn the little knob and ring
Mhm.
your neighbors and this sort of thing. And it was on a party line, so that whenever somebody else had a phone call, some of the other people might listen in,
Yes.
but no problem. No problem ever.
And what about a television?
Oh, yes, I remember watching television. We had a television in our living room or right off of the dining room.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it.
Did you have a favorite program?
Oh, not favorite. Saturday night. I know we watched a lot of TV.
Lawrence Welk.
Lawrence Welk was one of our favorites, and he still is. I still listen to Lawrence Welk.
You know what?
Of course,
I
it's all renewed.
I do too. Shirley, we're getting about to the end of our conversation.
Okay.
I do have a couple questions to ask you. When you think about the 1950s, what memory, what fun or fond memory stands out in your mind?
Well, I think probably living in the country, and we had this Friday night group of neighbors that
Mhm.
got together, and all the kids came also, and so us kids had lots of fun too. And
Good.
that's when we would roller skate in the basement and play cards and this sort of thing.
Yes.
It
Yes.
sounds as if your community fellowship was the highlight of the 50s.
Yeah, it was. You look forward to Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that was a very memorable occasion, and I'm not sure that there are many of them that are still living.
Okay.
And the last question that I have for you
Yes.
is, how did your life in the 1950s imprint and benefit you as an adult?
Well, I think that I learned to and be on my own, kind of.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, being married to Dwayne, I had all kinds of help, and we did all kinds of moving, and we went to all kinds of different. We went to different states, so and we had two wonderful daughters,
Mm-hmm.
so I kept busy,
Yeah.
and I did a lot of knitting too.
Okay.
For some reason or other, I decided to learn to knit, and one year for Christmas, I think I gave everyone a knitted sweater.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
beautiful.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was, but it was good.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Okay.
Shirley Acker, we do thank you so much for being our guest today. It's been delightful learning
Yeah.
about your memories of the 1950s, and you've broadened our scope of that decade and how those experiences were so beneficial to you as an adult. And some of these experiences you had have just far and away from the experiences that many others who lived in the 1950s had.
Well, that's true, but everyone that's the best they can do with what they have available.
That
I
is
guess
an
so.
excellent way to sum up this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're
You're welcome.
welcome.
Thanks,
Bye-bye. Have a good one.
You as well.
And we are so thankful for having our guest Shirley Acker on with our broadcast today. And look, you can look forward to another guest next week as someone who you might find is an interesting acquaintance, I'll put it that way, of Shirley. So Jackie, what will be happening then next week? Bye-bye.
Well, bye-bye. I would like to encourage everyone to tune in next week. Be sure to click that red button, the subscribe button, and the thumbs up button. So tell your friends, even your relatives, about the 1950s Fun Chat, and join us every week on Monday, 8 p.m. Central. And if you can't join us at that time, view our YouTube channel found at the 1950s Fun Chat.
Well, we've had a great time today. We hope that you have too. And if you want to learn more about the Pfeiffer Sisters, Jackie and Janine, you can go to our website, whilethewindmillwatch.com. And at that website, you'll learn more about the Pfeiffer Sisters, about our book, where you can find a copy of our book to purchase either at the NDSU bookstore, who is our national distributor, or either at the variety of vendors throughout the country, especially located in North Dakota. But we're growing in vendors all the time. And I might want to point out too that if you need a program for your classroom, for your history classes, for libraries, for service groups, for other organizations, Jackie and I are most happy to Zoom with you into that event. So you can just give us, make a note in the comments section below, or send an email to us at our website, which is, at our website, which again is whilethewindmillwatch.com, and you'll find our email address there. Jackie, what do you think for next week?
What do I think? I think we're going to have a good talk, a good chat next week. And I want to say we appreciate and thank every one of you, our viewers, for joining us.